In today's episode, I actually want to cover what is picky eating, why are some kids pickier eaters than others, and what to do about it. Kids are picky eaters for a couple different reasons. One, we're all born with a natural preference for sweeter foods. So breast milk is sweeter. Formula manufacturers figured that out and they started adding a variety of different kinds of sugars in there to make it sweeter. And when they start getting introduced to solids, generally some kids will kind of start to prefer apples and pears over maybe zucchini. So why are some kids pickier than others? Well, you know, there's studies that show that temperament actually plays a big role in that. If your child is shy and not willing to try new things, they're generally not very adventurous with their food too. And there's always going to be the super shy kids that are great eaters and the really adventurous kids that are picky eaters. So just take that with, you know, the grain of salt that it is, and know that if you have a really shy child, that they might be more inclined to be picky eater. 50% of all parents would say that they have a picky eater, so you're in good company. That's millions upon millions of children. And my pediatrician actually said the number one thing he talks about every day is how to overcome picky eating. And he's like, I can't spend hours telling everybody and explaining it to them and giving them strategies. So I hope that in this video series we could really help a lot of families understand picky eating and help to overcome it. In subsequent episodes, we actually go through different strategies on how to overcome picky eating. So please make sure you watch those because they're really full of things that you can do today to help your child become a more adventurous eater. So when it comes to, let's say, picky eating peaks from the ages of 2 to 6. So if you start out and your kid's a great eater at 10 months and a great eater at 13 months and then starts to wean and you're like, what happened? They used to eat vegetables. That often is normal, but there are things you can do to combat that. So what happens is kids start to figure out, hey, this food tastes better. You know, I like chicken nuggets over cauliflower, or I like mac and cheese over this food. And there's a lot of reasons that they go for that. Kids often like food that's not very hard. So if you look at chicken nuggets and mac and cheese and all that, they're all kind of this bland palate that is really easy for them to chew on. And it's all kind of the same, you know, even though you're thinking mac and cheese, well, pasta and actually chicken nuggets, the way that they're processed is soft, so they're in the same family of foods. But what we want to do is really understand that, okay, it's normal for kids to be picky eaters, but there are things that you can do to help that. So one of the biggest things you can do is rotating the type of food that you're offering. So check out that video of the rotation rule. And the next one is building on the foods that your kids already like. So gateway foods, so check that video out. The next thing you can do is just really make sure that you're offering a large variety of foods to your children, that you are offering a tremendous amount of variation in the way that they eat it. So don't always steam broccoli, sometimes throw cheese on it or throw bacon. So really keep a huge variety in the type of ways that you present your food. Offer a lot of variation, and really don't give in to your child that starts to say, hey, you know they're going to eat the chicken nuggets, so you start offering the chicken nuggets. That's one of the surefire ways that kids start to use food as control, and they know that I won't eat because then, or throw a tantrum, and then you'll give me chicken nuggets. So it's almost validating throwing that tantrum. And then what happens is they've also trained you to say, hey, I'm not going to make that casserole because I know they're not going to even eat it, so I might as well just give them the chicken nuggets or the pizza or the mac and cheese or whatever the foods are. So it's something to think about, that there's a segment of the population, about 15% of kids, who don't eat or who are picky eaters because of medical, autism, or sensory processing. So if you have, you know, on that spectrum of, you know, your child has food allergies, please go see a feeding specialist or an occupational therapist to help you through those challenges. But then if you're the 85% where your kids have just really learned to prefer certain foods, you have to really combat that by not giving those foods that often, right? So if they really like mac and cheese, make sure you throw in different fruits and, you know, different veggies into the mac and cheese and keeping it different, but don't offer mac and cheese very often. So my kids occasionally get it. They might get mac and cheese every month or two. Because I rotate everything. I don't want them to have an aversion to pasta because they never eat pasta. I don't want them to have an aversion to a grilled cheese sandwich. So even though, you know, I prefer if they ate a different type of food, I want to rotate everything in. So that's very important that you try, that you give all kinds of different foods to your kids and not get in the rut of kids menu foods. So if you have any questions, please post your comments and questions below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and join our discussions on feedingmyKid.com. We have a whole discussion boards where you can ask and answer questions. So I look forward to the conversation, and have a great day.